I've just released osci-render 2.8, which is the biggest update yet. It comes with several new features that people have been asking for a very long time, including a completely rewritten synth and modulation engine, system audio capture, the ability to map MIDI CC messages to parameters, undo and redo support, and so much more. But before I cover all of the new features in depth, osci-render Premium is currently 25% off for a week as of uploading this video, which is the cheapest it's been in almost a year. I don't do sales often, so this is a great chance to get $10 off of osci-render Premium, especially with all these new features. Alright, awesome, let's jump straight into it. So the first thing you're going to notice when you open up a new project in osci-render Premium is the new UI for the different Synth Engine and the Modulation Engine. So you've got these two sort of like rows at the bottom covering what I'm about to describe, and you can immediately see, like, if you start to hover over some of these effects, like for example this polygonizer, that you're getting these two different LFOs circles that are appearing at the bottom here. If I go and click on that, you'll get the new UI come up for modulation. So here we've got two different LFOs that are affecting the different parameters in this effect. So this first LFO is controlling the rotation bit that we've got here, and this second one is controlling the stripe phase. I can drag this around and kind of change exactly how it reacts, or I could even add my own points in, and then it can like control the exact waveform. I can change the rate of it. I can even make it so it's tied to the tempo if I've got this open in a digital audio workstation. So you can sort of change that to be divisions of your current tempo. And you've even got these different modulation options for a random signal and also for sort of sidechain input. So if I were to, for example, drag this onto the polygonizer, then now it's like applying a random amount of this sort of polygonizer strength according to this random signal. So yeah, as I've just demonstrated there, to add new ones, all you do is just, click and drag, and then it will do exactly that. This last one here is sidechain input. So as I'm speaking, you can see this go sort of up and down. If I drag this, let's say, onto a bulge effect, you can see as I speak, the bulge sort of like increases and decreases based on the volume. So if I increase this more, it'll be more pronounced. And you can change the parameters of this. So say I'm speaking on a microphone that isn't very loud, I can scale this back a bit so that it will peak earlier on. If I put this all the way down, you get that much more pronounced effect, and you can sort of play around with these different parameters to have different effects. This is going to respond much quicker to my voice, and if I increase this, it will respond much slower. Let's move over to the digital audio workstation now, where I've got osci-render Premium open as a plugin, and you can start to see some of the new synth capabilities in the latest version. So you'll see at the moment it's just a dot, there's no audio, and that's because in the latest version, MIDI is enabled by default when you've got it open as an audio plugin. That means if I start playing notes, you can immediately start to see that, and it's sort of reacting as you would expect. Another thing that you'll notice is there's a bunch of new controls here. So we've got this sort of like glide or portamento, and you will hear that if I like increase this a lot more. You can very easily sort of hear that as I'm changing notes. I've got always glide on here, which is why, you know, it's, as you would expect, it's kind of always gliding. If I disable that, then it's only going to glide when I'm actually holding down the note of the previous note and then pressing the other one before I let go. You've got other things you can control here, so you can control the pitch bend strength. At default it's just 2, but you can increase that all the way to 48, so you can get much more control over any sort of pitch bend messages you send as well. As I've said before, this is all based on Vital, so if you're familiar with how Vital works, I'm sure you'll be very comfortable working with this as well. If you look back at the modulation section as well, you'll see that we have these new envelope modulators. So if I open this up again, we've got an envelope, and if I play a note, you'll see it sort of go through that envelope. You can of course change this to react differently when you press a note, and you'll see the visuals take longer to sort of appear. And just like any other modulator that we've got here, you can click and drag onto any parameter you want. So say this vortex strength, and it will then apply that, as you would expect. One feature that people have been asking for a very long time is the ability to capture system audio and visualize it. This has just been added to osci-render Premium and SOSI, and it's really easy to enable. All you do is go into the audio settings, click Enable System Audio Capture, and then it should work straight away. If not, just choose the right audio device that you want to output it to, and you'll immediately start seeing that. So you can obviously manipulate it in all the ways you would expect, and sort of visualize exactly what you're hearing on your computer. Another really cool feature that's just been added to osci-render Premium is the ability to load fractals or L systems. So you might have come across L systems before, but basically they are a way of defining different rules for a fractal to be drawn. So this is a really popular example here. If I just disable these effects, you'll see what the sort of base shape looks like. Equally, if I show you some different ones that have been added as examples here, so when you just press that plus, you can see them all here. So there's a Sierpinski triangle, you have a dragon curve, and you can control the depth or sort of like recursion of all of these using this parameter here. My digital audio workstation is currently automating this, which is why it's not letting me do that, but you get the idea. If I go later on in here, you'll get some like really awesome look as to like how this actually looks in practice. So you would have seen this a little bit in the introduction. This is just me messing around with the binary tree effect, and yeah, you get some really awesome results out of it. A huge thank you, of course, goes to Energy for providing the basis for a lot of this fractal implementation. He made an amazing script that will be linked in the description that formed a lot of like the work that went into this. So thank you very much. The next nice and simple feature that's been added that a lot of people have been asking for is MIDI CC support. This is in osci-render Premium and in SOSI, and what it means is if you choose an effect, for example this one, you can click one of these, so it highlights it for you. So say I wanted to control this with a MIDI CC knob, I can just do Learn MIDI CC Assignment. When I do that and then I adjust a knob on my MIDI keyboard, I can see that I'm now controlling that using MIDI CC. So this just means that you get a lot more control. If you want to do some live performances and stuff, it's going to be much easier for you to do that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy that. Another new feature is a bunch of new Lua variables and functions, and they've all been now added under a new Lua scripting reference, which is accessible within osci-render. So you can just click on this question mark icon and access all of the documentation for all of the new functions as well as all the existing ones. Hopefully this just serves as an easy like in-app way of getting everything that you need. There's also a link to the actual Lua reference as well if you're unfamiliar with the language. One of the new quality of life features that has been added in this update is the ability to record video offline. So what that means is if you choose an audio file under video and then render audio file to video, say this fractal one, and then choose a destination for the video file, so say in the same directory, press save there, and then it will immediately start rendering faster than real time that audio file to video based on all of the qualities of that audio file. For example, the sample rate that's used and any sort of visualizer settings that you've configured under here. So this is just a really nice way of guaranteeing that you're recording a perfect cut of your audio file. Next is the ability to really easily undo and redo anything that you do in osci-render and SOSI. If I, for example, enable one of these effects and then change a value and then, I don't know, apply an LFO to it, I can undo all of those steps individually. So I can just use these buttons in the UI to undo those steps. And then we're back to normal with no effect applied and no LFO applied either. So equally, I can redo all of those and we're back in exactly the same state that we were. Obviously you can do this with keyboard shortcuts as well, so Control Command Z and Control Shift Z to undo and redo. So been a long overdue quality of life feature, but I hope you enjoy it. As well as all of this, there have been several other smaller quality of life and UI changes. For example, the frequency slider that used to be above all the different effects has now been moved to here. Same with the perspective and FOV sliders. They're now all knobs at the bottom. So they work exactly the same way, but they've just been moved around. We've also added the ability to change the currently open file using a parameter that's automatable in a digital audio workstation. So if I have multiple files open, I can now automate sort of changing between them easily as a parameter. I've also added the ability to open recent projects. So if you go into File and then Open Recent, you can see any number of your recent files and open them again. As I've said, there's a huge number of things for you to try out in this update, and I can't wait to see what you make with it. As mentioned, many of the new features are exclusive to osci-render Premium, and I strongly encourage you to check it out now that it's 25% off for a short period of time. Thanks to everyone that's already purchased it and supported the project over the years. As always, you should check out the Discord server that's nearing 3,000 members, and there's a place where people share what they've been working on, suggest new features, or just learn more about osci-render and find other people that are interested. That's all for today, and I'll see you for the next update. Thank you very much.